day in the African wilderness. We have a beautiful big giraffe having a drink, and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. Welcome everyone who's watching us this afternoon. Like I said earlier, it's very windy all of a sudden. In fact, in just the last couple of minutes, and we just got here in the nick of time as that giraffe had a little drink. And if you're wondering who on earth I am, I suppose I should probably introduce myself. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me we've got David. Hello, David. Should we go around and see if we can get a bit closer perhaps to this giraffe? There seems like there's an array of animals around this afternoon. There's not just one giraffe, but actually a couple, as well as a few impala, of course. It wouldn't be a safari without some impala, and a few wildebeest lurking in the distance. We're just going to head on around and move over the big dam wall and see if we can get a little bit closer. Now, we had some lovely rain earlier this morning. I'm sure you saw, especially if you're watching the dam cam, you would have noticed the little drippy drops on the water's surface, and it was lovely. It wasn't particularly heavy. It was a nice light soaking rain, which was good for the grass, but it has now moved away. The temperature is changing again. It's still a bit gloomy out here, but we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that only once the show is finished that we get some more rain. We're going to see the giraffe in a moment. My goodness, there's so many animals around this afternoon. I've even spotted a few more different ones. But let's have a look at the tallest creature in the African lands. There he is, all the way down there. Now, it's another male giraffe. We seem to be seeing quite a few of them around at the moment, and I did see a couple of others in the far distance, perhaps where this male is heading to now. Look at all the oxpeckers on that giraffe's neck, and that's what we call a real African bird feeder. Isn't that lovely? Off he goes around the corner. It seems as though we're going to have to play catch up with all the animals as usual. They normally leave me in their dust, and I have to go tailing on after them. Isn't he lovely? Still a youngish boy. He's not too old. Oh, now he's using the luxury facilities. And something that amazes me about giraffe is how small the dung pellets are for such a tall creature. I'm going to ask you all a question if you have just tuned in. Why are the dung pellets of a giraffe so small? So I'd love to hear from you, and if you'd like to send in an answer, you can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can even send us an email, questions@WildEarthTV. So let's see how many of you have been paying attention over the last few years. Right, and just up ahead as well, we've got some zebra, so let's see if we can get a bit closer. I don't seem to have too much luck with the zebra though. They always seem to dart away with me, and I suspect with the wind picking up, we're going to be seeing a lot of that, as the animals unfortunately are going to be feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the breeze. Well, I suppose it's not really a breeze anymore. It's a bit stronger than a breeze, and that's just because they can't hear very well, we all know, and of course it affects their sense of smell too. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll try and give the animals as much distance. Oh my goodness, and there's not just zebra up ahead. I've seen an elephant too, just around the corner. You can see already. Let's have a look. You can see how nervous the zebras are, unfortunately. I'm parking at a strange angle, so if you see the camera tilt around, don't panic. I'm just not positioning myself on the flattest of grounds. Now they've settled down though. They did give a little bit of a dash as we came up and through the drainage line, but they've settled in nicely. We've got the brand new baby elephant. Oh, it's that... Oh my goodness, it's a tiny little elephant that's coming towards us. You can see how the whole herd is now shuffled around it, sort of protecting it a little bit. Let's see what they do. They don't seem to be too panicked by us. They haven't shown us any warning signs yet, but that is a tiny little tot. And this morning, I did manage to see Fang and her herd. So hopefully they are around. Perhaps they're still coming up because it was a big herd of elephants that she was a part of this morning. Look at this. I'm going to sit very quietly just to let them come past. I'm probably going to talk to the elephants like I normally do. But let's see how they react. Hello, little one. Which way are you going? Now, I don't want to get into their way, but since we've been here, they've changed direction quite a few times. But look at this tiny tot. Hello, elephants. That is such a little one, probably not even a week old. Hello. Have you even seen many vehicles before? Look at that, having a little look, very unsure as to what we are. I'm just going to put my foot back. I just want to roll back very quickly. Hello, guys. Not that I'm too particularly worried about them, but with Mom, with such a youngster, I want to give them lots and lots of space. And I think they're going to head towards the dam. Sorry, I'm going to go downhill a little bit now. Just want to let them carry on. It's okay, guys. See, the little ones are slightly panicked. I'm just going to keep see, with this wind now, you can see they're very unsure. It's okay, big girl. We'll just give her a little bit more room. She probably would have been happy to go past me as well, but I don't want to take a risk with this young calf. I don't want it to have any bad experiences. Right, we know where they're going to go, so let's give them room. Hello, guys. You've got all the space in the world to walk around, but of course you must walk where I've parked the vehicle. We'll go back. We'll watch them from over here just for a little bit. They're probably going to have a little feed, and then perhaps they're going to go straight towards the dam, which is exactly what we want. But how fantastic is it to finally have a second glimpse of that tiny little calf? It was such a special sighting that Jamie had the other day. You can see them, all the little ones pushing and shoving each other. This wind has definitely got them a little bit stirred. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, they've settled down again. Let's see if they make their descent down this big steep bank. Right, we're going to stay with this herd of elephants though and see where they head to. But while we wait to see their next moves, let's go back to Jamie. I'm sure she's dying to say hello to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to this portion of our afternoon sunset safari. My name is Jamie and this afternoon I have VM on camera with me, and Taylor's already kicked off the afternoon safari with a bang, and I'm so glad she got to see that tiny little baby elephant. Well, I hope that we can live up to the start that she has set down for us, and I think we can, because we have quite a special surprise sitting on the Buffelshoek boundary on the northern side of the boundary, so therefore north of our Traverse area. Djuma's behind me, Buffelshoek is on my left, and over there, hidden in the silver cluster leaf thicket, is something very interesting. Look who is hiding there. Oh, I suspect this is a leopard that I have only seen once, maybe twice before this. The one sighting I wasn't sure because it was such a brief sighting, I couldn't confirm who it was. My suspicion is that the leopard that you are looking at is Xiluva, and judging by the condition of her ears, I seem to remember the one and only time I had a proper sighting with Xiluva when she was mating with Mvula. I think it is the older Xiluva. There are of course two, just to keep things simple. Look, she spotted something. What's there, girl? She's heard something. Everything's just changed. She does have a kill here. She's got a Dacre kill lying off to the right of her that she's barely snacked upon, which is interesting because she's had this the whole day. So she clearly wasn't hugely hungry when she caught it. She was here this morning during our Nat.Geo rehearsal, which is very, very interesting because it suggests that she actually wasn't terribly bothered about it, and she's just been resting in the shade and enjoying the cool weather that we've been experiencing. What's there, girl? You see, she's still looking back into the thicket. If she goes in that direction, of course, for us it is disastrous, not for her, but for us, because it means that she will disappear from view and we can't get any closer to go and see her. And we'll have to wait for our chance to get into prime position to have a chance to see her. There's another vehicle with guests in front of us, so we're just going to chill here for now and watch this gorgeous creature as she hides behind the silver cluster leaves. Avim tells me today, in no uncertain terms, that today we are doing a catathon, to which I said fair enough. I think a catathon sounds very exciting. In other words, we are going to very determinedly look for the big cats. And it's hopeful because this morning a leopard was calling right outside Inger's. I didn't manage to find it. Inger's is where I live, by the way, for our newer viewers. I didn't manage to find it, but I have a suspicion that he's still on the property, if it was indeed a he. It was very difficult to tell. And there's also a dead buffalo in the corner of Djuma that I'm going to go and double check on. The interesting thing about this dead buffalo, just while we wait for our spot at Xiluva's sort of front end to be able to see which Xiluva it is, and if it is Xiluva, because I don't know. I suspect it might be, though, with those tattered ears. If I remember correctly, the older Xiluva, born in 2005, did have those tattered ears. Before we go into that in too much detail, just to say that there's a dead buffalo on Djuma. We followed the smell actually, and what I noticed on the ground was that there were lots and lots of tracks of hyenas. So our hyena clan came through last night, but it just goes to show how well fed they are, that they didn't even bother to finish feeding off that buffalo carcass, and I'm sort of hoping perhaps they might have returned when I go back and check a little bit later this afternoon. But for now, we have the gorgeous, maybe Xiluva. We have a lovely leopard lying up and just resting. So Xiluva, if she is the older Xiluva, the older sister of Nkanyeni, if she is the younger sister, then she is the daughter of Nkanyeni, the female leopard. Oh, there we go. The female leopard on Cheetah Plains. What everybody else except me has seen on Cheetah Plains. Hello, girl. This is the older Xiluva, right? I'm not making things up. I really think it looks like her. Oh, sneeze. And there we go. Catherine says this is a new leopard for her. That is wonderful, Catherine, to hear, and I'm glad that we could show you this older female. Let's get a confirmation 100% as to which leopard this is before I spout off too much about Xiluva. But Xiluva means a flower, and it was given to Nkanyeni's daughter, the younger Xiluva, on the basis that Xiluva the elder, oh goodness, this gets confusing, Xiluva the elder had disappeared for a while. But we see her, or at least Buffelshoek sees her relatively regularly. So guides like Rexon and Tax and Aubrey, they can drive on Buffelshoek, and they regularly encounter her. She's been seen mating with Mvula on regular occasions. So this is pretty much her established territory. And this is roughly where her boundary lies, at the Buffelshoek cut line itself, and of course her next door neighbour would be Karula. And Chai Connie, very valid point, and that's something I should have actually thought about doing a moment ago. You want to know how you spell Xiluva, and the answer is Xiluva, Xiluva. So the sh sound, I'm not pronouncing it 100% correctly, but the X is a sound in the local language, and as I said, it means flower. Now, from what I know, the younger Xiluva is very, very pretty. There we go. Thank you to Crystal H, much appreciated. It is indeed apparently the older Xiluva, the right side spot pattern. The right side spot pattern matches perfectly. So thank you to Crystal H, very much appreciated. While we wait for our turn to get a little bit of a different view on this leopard, and hopefully a better one, let's head back across to Taylor, who's having more pachyderm luck.
the Ellies popped in to have a little drink, but perhaps if you were watching on the dam cam, you could have seen all the commotion. And I'm very impressed with Henry the Hippo, who doesn't seem to be too bothered by the elephants at all. He does keep a close eye on them, of course, but he seems to be quite comfortable, and he's come to terms with that this is the only really clean, decent water, and they're always going to come and have a drink where he is. Now that little elephant, who's just walking away now, is very funny. It doesn't have any idea what to do when it's supposed to drink. It went down on its knees and stuck its entire head into the water. Now you can see the little one suckling. And it's not that this youngster really needs to drink too much water at the moment. It's getting all the nutrients that it needs from mom's milk. But you can even see it's almost an effort to try and reach up to mom's mammary gland. See, it's struggling a little bit. They're having to really tilt his little head up high. And of course, we've got the elephants who like to pull the pipes out of the ground. Naughty. And this is the pain of any reserve manager's existence, is having to re-dig trenches and put the pipes back underground. But the reason why the elephants love to go for the pipes or even straight to the water tanks is because they prefer to drink nice clean water rather than water that of course has got lots of hippo feces and urine and buffalo dung and you name it, all those little things. But there's a little bit of water coming out there. You can see trying to suck it out with the trunk. And that was always one of the funniest things. You'd get a call from the guest room saying, "We've got no water." And then the first thing we would do is we'd check the tanks to see if they hadn't run dry. And the next thing would be is to check the pipeline. And often you'd come around and there'd be a sprinkler coming out of the ground. And of course, very happy elephants surrounding the fountain of water spraying from the ground. They, of course, absolutely loved it. Now you can see that little one going in for another suckle. This is actually a much better view now. Hello, teeny tot. And you won't believe it, before your eyes, this little one will grow up to be one of the giants. Yes, you're still so small you can fit under your mother's legs. You can see what I mean. It's a great height, almost trying to stand on his tippy toes to reach mom's teat. Can you get it? Yes. Well done, little one. This is so beautiful. You can see they're all standing very quietly now. Now we're obviously watching this little one struggle as it attempts to suckle, and Marla wants to know what would happen if this little one couldn't reach its mother's udder. Now, I don't think that would ever happen. I mean, they sort of, when they're just born, they are tiny and they do struggle. They almost have to stand up slightly and tilt their head right up in order to reach. So I've never really heard of anything ever happening like that, where a little one isn't able to reach, unless it is a young calf perhaps and it's weak and there's something wrong with it when it was born and then it couldn't stand up properly to reach its mom's udder. But otherwise I think that they are born at the perfect height. And it won't be too long before this little one won't be able to fit through its mother's legs. In a few months' time, it will be too big to go underneath like it is going now. There are so many different animals coming down. There's a lovely herd of zebra also just coming in from the west, and I think that they're going to go around and go to the big pan just below the dam camera. You can see the zebras coming through now in a lovely straight formation, and of course there's the stallion up in front leading the herd down to drink, making sure that it's safe and there's no predators around. Sometimes it can even take them 10, or remember that sighting we had at Red Dam? We waited almost an hour and a half for the zebras to make the descent down the steep bank. And you can see he's the stallion. He's got a lovely big neck. He looks very muscled. Lovely shiny coat too. Oh, there's so much excitement, I don't know where to go. Here we go, he's being very cautious. Stopping, looking. which is very clever. The zebras, of course, have got fantastic eyesight, and they'll be relying on their eyesight quite extensively today with the wind that's picked up. So lucky for the zebra, lucky for the impala, that they've got a good set of eyes. Look at them. Beautiful. Look at all of them coming, running and grouping together. Ah, water! They're so excited. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, a little bit nervous. Like I said, it's the wind. Not that there are any crocodiles or anything lurking in that pool of water, but they're always going to edge on the side of caution when approaching a dam or a natural pan. Remember, I did ask a question. I don't know if you remember it, but I'll quickly reiterate for you. I wanted to know from all of you why the giraffe dung pellets are so small. So I'd love to hear some of your answers. And if you don't know, well, perhaps in the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, I'll let you know. Let's have one more look at all the wonderful and amazing animals that have come around. Now, this is not the end of the zebra. I've just seen another herd slowly making their way through, so it'll be quite exciting to see so many stripes together. Beautiful opportunity as well to take some screenshots. Look at that lovely reflection that you're getting off the surface of the water. And we're seeing these puddles of water, I suppose you could call them now, dwindling away. And I know that Roger was wondering if there's any more rain that's been forecasted. Roger, I had a little look, but like the rest of the world here in South Africa, we can't predict weather. We're not very good at that. And it seems as though there could be some rain in the next 2 days or so. But we'll see. If this wind carries on and picks up, perhaps it will blow it in sooner, or perhaps it will prevent it from coming at all. But I think we are getting to the point where the humidity has been building up. We're seeing a lot of big cumulonimbus clouds building in the distance. So we're just waiting for that big thunderstorm to form. We had a little bit of thunder today, but wasn't too much. We've had 1 or 2 answers coming through, and I know Diane's answer to my giraffe dung question. So Diane thinks that the reason why the pellets are so small is because they don't drink a lot of water. Now, unfortunately, Diane, that's not the case. I think I'm going to let you all know what the answer is, but thank you so much for having an attempt at the question. The reason why the pellets of all the antelope species are so small is because they're ruminants. They've got a very, very good digestive system. They've got those 4 chambers. They are digesting almost maximum amount of nutrients that they can digest. Thus, not too much dung is left afterwards, unlike, of course, the elephants and the rhinos and the hippos, where we see large piles of dung. Let's see, are there any more impala coming down? Oh my goodness, there's buffalo. I'm not going to be able to go anywhere this afternoon. Everything is coming around. Now, it's going to be interesting. Darby, should I reposition quickly? I'm going to just quickly reverse. I want to get the aerial out of the way, of course. Now, this is going to be very interesting to watch. Have a look at this, because of course the elephants have, I've parked again in a little dip. The elephants have got that tiny little calf, and normally the buffalo wouldn't bother them, but you can see one of the youngsters on the right hand side has gone and sort of stepped forward and flared its ears open, just sort of to make sure that the buffalo know their place and that they don't come too close by. Isn't this amazing? And this is what I love about safaris, is that you come out. I didn't even expect to stay here this long. I thought we were going to have a very quick look at that giraffe, and then I was going to take you to try and relocate on the lions. Now, it seems as though we're going to spend quite a bit of time here as this herd of buffalo come through. I wonder if this is not perhaps the herd of buffalo where the lions this morning caught a young buffalo calf. Perhaps it is. I wasn't sure. I didn't get a really decent look at the herd that came through, but I'm not going to spoil too much about the lion story. I'm going to tell you that a little bit later. It'll be nice if these buffalo go through and have a bit of a mud wallow as well. There's a beautiful big bull that was up in front. You can see him making his way into the little puddle of water now. Now, I think initially they wanted to come to the dam where Henry the hippo is, but of course they were put off by the elephants. But isn't this just magnificent? What an incredible way to start our sunset safari. Here we go. Now, buffalo are definitely not afraid of the mud. Oh, elephant, you're ruining our shot. Get out of the way. You've had your turn now to be the star of the show. What do you think you're doing? We'll make you pay extra if you carry on like this. David, make note, we need to send this elephant an invoice. Lovely cow having a drink. Isn't this beautiful? This is honestly, in my opinion, as close as you get to paradise. Being able to just sit in one spot and have everything come to you. Giraffe, elephants, buffalo, the impala, there's wildebeest in the distance, zebra, of course. And then, of course, Jamie's got that beautiful leopard too. This is going to be an exciting drive. I've got such a good feeling about today. That is a fantastic screenshot as well. I'd love to see these a little bit later. So remember to add the hashtag Safari Live for Twitter if you'd like to post this photo, or even email it to us at questions@wildearth.tv. I know not everybody has got Twitter. Hello, buffalo. Very thirsty after today. Perhaps they were the ones that were chased around. But just a quick drink. They don't seem to be spending too much time. Most of the herd has already decided that they're going to move onwards and outwards. Isn't this beautiful? Milton, I absolutely love your comment. Milton says that it may be a peaceful afternoon for everybody else here out in the bush, except for Henry, who of course keeps being harassed by all the elephants, and I suspect a few other animals that are going to come through and have a drink a bit later. Sorry, Henry, that you're not the star of the show today. I suppose we should pay Henry a little bit of attention. You can see he's had a lovely facial today, a little African mud mask going on there. Now, Henry, don't leave it on for too long, otherwise your skin is going to be very tight and you won't be able to open or close your eyes. But he looks quite content, doesn't he? Lovely. Well, did you like that comment about the mud mask, Henry? Are you going to give us a rollover? Oh, sorry, I'm just watching a young elephant bull, and I think that's what Henry was watching as well. Is this young elephant bull over here? Is it a young Ellie bull? I think got a bit too frisky with the herd while they're pulling the pipe further out the ground, and he got chased by an elephant cow. It's okay. You just got to learn to behave. Everybody's having a great day. They've now, look how much more they've pulled that pipe out of the ground. They are naughty animals, the elephants. Look at them. It was about a meter and a bit out of the ground. It's now almost 3 or 4 times that much. Look at it, still pulling it out. I'm sure maintenance is going to be very happy with the elephants as they drink their purified water. It's naughty. A little elephant, of course, standing right close next to Mom. And the little one will continue to do so until it develops its own little personality and gets a little bit braver. Sort of using that as a sippy straw. This is beautiful. Little fountain coming out of that elephant's mouth. I don't think it's doing a very good job of drinking too much of that water. It's almost like a mini trunk, I suppose, squirting back into its mouth. That's exactly what they would do with their trunk, is suck all the water up and then spray it at quite a sort of powerful spray. My words are disappearing today. And straight into its mouth. So I'm surprised that they're struggling. Now that elephant, I think, is being very selfish and not giving anybody else a turn. You can see all the little ones hoping, can please me next. And of course, with the pecking order, those little ones are probably not going to get an opportunity unless they hang around until the herd moves off. But it seems as though the herd is moving off now, and I think it's time to go back to Jamie and to that beautiful leopard.
Now, while Taylor's elephant herd disappears, your timing couldn't have been more perfect, in that I think we might actually be able to get a slightly better spot to view Xiluva through the trees. I got a big fright a moment ago when she got up and started moving towards Buffelshoek. I was devastated at the thought that she might disappear before we've had a chance to spend some quality time with her. But fortunately for us, she was just going to lie in a different position. I'm very interested about the fact that she hasn't even bothered with this daycare. It makes me think it was a very opportunistic kill, and that she may well actually just have come from a larger kill, finished off something larger. She does look full. You can see that daycare hasn't been touched. It's starting to expand from the gases of its digestive system now that it is slowly but surely decomposing. She's licked away the fur, but that's about it. She's plucked some of the fur out. You can see a fluff ball of it. And then you can see the flies that have taken advantage of her absence and settled on the carcass itself. She's just eaten a little bit of the hindquarters, and that's it. You can see those large red-headed carcass flies. Our Chai Connie, you want to know if this is her territory. And yes, it is her territory, but only just. Karula has a tendency, it's difficult to know exactly, because remember, territorial boundaries are fluid things. There was a time when Karula used to come up to this spot all the time. We saw her occasionally around Sydney's Dam and all the way along Buffelshoek boundary. That happens with less and less frequency now that she has had those two gorgeous cubs. And you might find that Xiluva's sort of just slowly drifted in to fill the gap. Her territory is definitely in Buffelshoek. She has been known to jump into the gardens of the camps there on occasion. I know that Brent once, when he was out on tracking team, found her behind one of the fences in one of the camps. So she does do that. And her territory probably extends up into Manyeleti as well. This particular patch of Buffelshoek is slightly longer than the one closer to the gate, but towards Gowrie Gate, to the west of me, there's only a thin sliver of Buffelshoek there, and then north of that is Manyeleti. So you'll find that her territory goes into Manyeleti as well. Beyond that, I really don't know. Of course, bear in mind the dynamics are changing, as they always do. And there we go. That brings me on to the answer to Martin's question, which is how many female leopards are there in this area? The reason I say that the dynamics are changing, there we go, we've got a beautiful view of her face there. The dynamics are changing is that we have had, in the last few months, we've had Nchila spending a little bit of time here in Xiluva's territory. So we've counted Xiluva and Nchila. There was also a brief moment where Tsakani was hanging around here, as well as Nsele was seen moving about in this general area. So now that's 4. Then there's Shadow, Karula, Tundi, and I'm talking only in the areas that we traverse, that touch their territories, touch areas that we traverse. Xiluva too, so the younger Xiluva. There's, who have I forgotten? Saleheshe and her daughter Tiani. So that's 10 that I've counted. I'm trying to think if have I forgotten anyone? Nkanyeni, I suppose, on Nkanyeni and Tundi's daughter, which is 12 on Cheetah Plains. Are there any other female leopards that I haven't counted that we might see? Nkwetile is now deceased. But her daughter Tsakani is still around, but I counted Tsakani. So that's 12. 12 in the area that we traverse. Obviously, their territories extend outside of our traverse area, or where we can drive. But that's a rough head count. Have I forgotten anyone? Don't think so. And those are all leopards that we have encountered before. Right, let's just see. I can't guarantee that this is going to be a mass improvement on our view, but let's try. Luckily, we've got Jigger's very subtle brakes to help us out. Not so much. Oh dear. I might have made a grievous error in judgment. Let me try go forward. I might have to turn the engine on. That definitely hasn't worked, has it, Liam? It was such a lovely idea. It's a tricky spot, this. No, that doesn't really help. Oh, bless you. And you know what she's going to do, of course. Well, let me pull off the road, because I am, in terms of justification, I mean, this is Buffelshoek, but I'm on a boundary, I'm on a main road, I'm in the way. There's already a tree fallen in the road there. I'm just moving my car out of the way. That doesn't help. Doesn't help at all. In fact, it's made it a great deal worse. Okay, back to the drawing board. Here's some spots behind some leaves. Isn't that exciting? Let's try this again. I want to wait here for a little bit and just see if she does go and feed. What do you think, Vim? Back to where we were? Yeah, I agree. It's not working out so well. Donna, I'm talking about our catathon. And you want to know how many days we have gone. Sorry, Donna. I'm trying to concentrate on getting you a view of this leopard, but it's quite a tricky one. Okay, I'll give up. There you go. Done. That's what we're going to take for now. Donna, you want to know how many days we have gone seeing cats, or with an unbroken cat record. Can somebody help me with that, please? As far as I know, since I've been back at work, and I've been at work about 8 weeks, we've seen cats every single day. Unless I'm mistaken. I need some of you who watch our shows each and every single day. Maybe you can help me out here in terms of trying to work out what our unbroken cat record is. Because I think this has not been a bad streak. I think we've had cats every day. In fact, I think we might have broken all records and sent them flying out the window in terms of an unbroken cat streak. That is, of course, October in a drought. We have that to thank for it. And, of course, the fact that we've all got to know these cats so much better. It certainly makes finding them a great deal easier. And we have our Nkuhumas to thank, since they haven't really shifted off Djuma in a very long time. So please help me while the beautiful Xiluva cleans her spine. That, by the way, is something Brent at the moment would not be able to do. If any of you are wondering where Brent is, he's put his back out completely. That twist, not that he'd be able to do that, or any of us could be able to do that anyway, but Brent certainly has far less chance than we do. He's put his back out. He's very, very, very sore. He will, however, be absolutely fine. Now, James Richard, you wanted to know, because apparently there have been reports of Mvula mating with Xiluva recently, and those I have heard. You wanted to know whether or not he is anywhere nearby, or if there have been any reports of him. Not that I've heard of. The last I heard, he was around Hardekwil camp, near the dams there. No, he was hanging out there. I don't think he's nearby. I didn't see him this morning, and I think that if he was around, as you know, with female leopards in estrus, she probably would be out to seduce him. But that being said, he could well be. There's nothing to preclude that possibility. It is entirely possible. Okay, well, Xiluva decides what she's going to do and where she's going to go, I'm just going to chat to one of the passing vehicles. In the meantime, Taylor's having a thoroughly elephant-filled afternoon. Hi guys, how are you? Good.
So we've had the elephants drinking the water and being very destructive and pulling up the pipe. And now we've got them having a wonderful dust bath, and I'm very thankful that we are upwind from the elephants, because I suspect if we were in front of them, we'd be in a bit of trouble, and I'd be sneezing quite heavily from all the dust that they are throwing around. You can see this one is sort of having a little nap, how she's resting her trunk down onto the ground. There we go, she's scooping up some sand. She's going to cover herself quite nicely now. Now this is a good opportunity, of course, for all the bum pictures. You've got an array of bum sizes, big, small, medium, large, sand-covered bums, wet bums, all sorts of different bums going on at the moment. Lovely, though. They've relaxed quite a bit now. They're very comfortable with us being around. And we've got the rest of the herd. I'm just keeping an eye out behind me to make sure that there's not too many sneaking up on us. There's another one. Little elephant, but there's a whole more. There's about another 10 still to come down the pathway towards us. I suspect that they will be here shortly. The excitement of the pipe seems to have worn off now, and they are pretty bored. I'm sure you can hear that wind blowing. It's now really howling, but it's not cold. It's really lovely and pleasant. You can see this little one trying to pick at, well, not really a little one, it's an older elephant. It's trying to pick at all the lovely new shoots coming through on that little tree, or whatever it once may have been. And off the little bum goes. Now, looking at these elephants, there's obviously quite a few females around here, and Owen was wondering if there's another elephant that is pregnant. Now, this cow that we're looking at, the big bum on the right, she possibly could be pregnant, but her calf doesn't look too old. Her calf probably is about maybe almost 3 years old, 2.5, 3 years old. So she should give birth soon, but not too soon, possibly in the next 1.5 years or so. So I definitely think there's a bun in the oven, as we sometimes like to say, but it's still very far from being completely developed. We'll have another look though, Owen, with the next group that comes on through. They're just behind us. Sort of having a little squiz behind us, and perhaps there's another elephant in there, but it's not uncommon to just see a few elephants that are expecting. But now they've had a drink, they've traveled over and covered a lot of ground. They now seem to be moving off into some of the thicker vegetation where there's a lot more nutritious things to eat than out in the open at the moment. Like I said, the animals have really grazed the grass right down to almost its roots now. There's just a few short sprigs that are out and about on top of the ground. We're going to need a bit more rain to encourage that grass to grow a little bit longer. So the elephants are going to have to go back to feeding on all the lovely leaves that have just started coming out. And I don't think they'll be too disappointed with that. This is lovely. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition. I'm going to try again and make our second attempt to go back around and across the dam wall. We'll have another look at these Ellies. I'm sure we'll get another little look. Oh, there's lots of animals around at the moment. Oh, sorry, very squeaky brakes, but you can see them now. Like I said, going from the open and straight down into the drainage. Here they are. Ooh, and I'm sure you heard that rumble if you had your volume turned up. That is from one of the young elephant bulls. You can hear the rest of the herd. All rumbling away as well, communicating. That young elephant bull was, I think, having a shout at one of the other elephants because he wants a drink from the black straw, which of course is that wonderful pipe that they've completely ripped out of the ground now. Look how amazing they're able to stretch up so high and reach a variety of different leaves. Now, speaking about elephants and them giving birth and them sort of birthing intervals, I know Louisa was wondering if elephants ever have twins. I've never seen it before. I don't think that it's particularly common, but I wouldn't rule it out as being impossible. That poor elephant mother that would have to carry twins, though, for 22 months. Goodness, she would need a gold badge, a crown, and about 3 years off on a lovely vacation somewhere where there's lots of trees and long grass. Very relaxing. Hello, Susan. I hope you're enjoying all the wonderful elephants. I know I am, because they are my favorite animals. So Susan, you'd like to know if I've ever seen an elephant giving birth. I have. Almost a month ago now, I told the story of how I came across a female elephant, of course. They're the only ones that can give birth. Sometimes my brain doesn't correlate with what's going out of my mouth, sorry. But I did. But unfortunately, the elephant calf was a stillborn, so the mother gave birth to it and already died. It looked like it was severely deformed. The feet didn't look too well, so it was very, very sad, but nonetheless quite beautiful. And one of the most amazing things from that sighting was the fact that once she realized that the calf was dead, that she actually tried to help it stand up. She then dragged it off the road and started covering it with sand and leaves as if to try and hide the scent, to almost bury it. The lions were in the area, so that was quite spectacular. Obviously, myself and my guests were all in tears and goosebumps on our arms. It was an incredible experience, and I don't think I'll ever see anything like that again. It was really once in a lifetime, pure chance that I came round the corner and saw all of this. But to see an elephant give birth again to a live calf, of course, that could be possible. And I'm not planning on leaving the bush anytime soon. I've got a few more years in me. Let's have one last look. There's some more elephants coming around. Where did they go? You wouldn't think that a big elephant could just disappear. Now, Dayton, you're also wondering at what age do elephants start eating solids, so grass and of course leaves. Now we just witnessed that almost week-old calf already starting to try and copy its mother and of course its siblings and all the other members in the herd, trying to practice the technique of wrapping the trunk around the leaves and pulling them back and putting them in its mouth. Now it takes them a few sort of months, even just a few weeks, to try and train some of those muscles. Remember, there's loads and loads of muscles in their trunk. So for an elephant to be able to use its trunk properly, it takes almost a year. So the little ones will normally start munching away from about 2 or 3 months old, but like I said, they are copying mom and cousin and siblings all the time. It's not necessarily that they're putting anything in their mouth. Right, the elephants have now disappeared. I think we're going to go around and try and find the lions, and while I do that, let's go back to Jamie with the lovely leopard again.
I'm still sitting patiently with Xiluva and her Dacre kill, waiting patiently for her to get up and go and feed. Can't believe how blasé she is about this Dacre kill, although it's not the first time we've seen leopards do this. And you see them do it on a relatively regular basis. They are, as we've often mentioned, opportunistic hunters. So she probably just saw the opportunity, took it, but she's not really all that hungry. And from that brief moment when she did get up, she did look relatively full. The fact that she's panting still also suggests that she has eaten something enormous somewhere. Apparently there is a female leopard not too far away from where we are. We don't know who it is at the moment, and I'm going to try and find out from some of the other guides once they get there. And she's at Cruise Camp, which is probably I think it's about 2 kilometers from where we are now. And it's a young leopard. It'd be interesting if we had 2 Xiluvas within relatively close proximity of each other, related to each other. The younger Xiluva would be the niece of the older Xiluva. Have I got that right? This is Nkanyeni's sister, the ones, yes, that's right. It would be the niece. This would be Xiluva's aunt, Xiluva. Just to keep things simple and not complicated at all. And Mads, absolutely it's possible to have two female leopards in close proximity or coming into estrus or heat at the same time. You want to know what will happen if there's only one male around. Mads, the female leopards are quite good at sharing males if that does actually happen. So this isn't something I have ever seen personally, and I think that the leopard females of the Sabi Sound are fortunate in that there's usually a willing, or perhaps not so willing, but certainly available male to find. But there are reported cases. I personally haven't seen it, but I have spoken to people who have seen two female leopards sharing one male. So essentially their instinct to mate with him is stronger than that of their instinct to try and be territorial and to fight each other. And generally, remember, most animals will avoid physical confrontation unless absolutely necessary. And whilst female leopards can fight and fight seriously, there are reports of female leopards just taking turns with the same male. And what you might find is that, because remember also, female leopards don't stay in their territories necessarily when they do come into estrus. If they can't find a male to mate with in their territory, they will go and actively look for one outside of their territorial boundaries. Which is what we often see. And then, of course, once they are with the male, they'll follow him wherever he goes, very loyally and spending a lot of time with him. A female leopard in estrus is a force to be reckoned with. They are not deterred from their mission very easily. We've seen it with Shadow a few times in Tingana, where Tingana's been chased up a tree by a lion, and Shadow pitched up and Tingana ran away and then mated with her afterwards because she ran after him. And we've seen it as well when Shadow and Tingana were both chased up a tree by a group of hyena. And Shadow immediately came down, went to the base of the tree once the hyenas left, and started purring and doing her seductive leopardess dance beneath the tree, so with Tingana watching almost disdainfully from above her and absolutely solidly refusing to come down. The same actually applies for males, strangely enough. Yes, males will fight over a female, but occasionally they have been seen sharing a female in estrus, that female moving between one and the other, which is interesting. And Mutali, that's why I was saying how unusual it is for male leopards to actually do that, because of course the whole idea of a male leopard having a territory and defending a territory is so that he can pass on his own genetic line. Now you're wondering, if two brothers from the same litter were to establish themselves in neighboring territories, or perhaps one were to trespass upon the territory of the other, would they fight or would they remember each other? Most likely they would fight. Now, we've seen it in an interesting situation with Quarantine and his brother Shimbambalana, although that's not quite what you're asking, because those are cubs or males from two different litters, Shimbambalana being older than Quarantine. But it did look, from the sighting that Brent had, it did look as though they had been fighting prior to his arrival. But for the most part, family ties won't count in that sense. So absolutely, if they are a dominant male leopard in a territory that they have established, there's a very good chance that they will fight. We see it with Karula and her daughters even. She is always terribly unimpressed when one of them enters her territory. We saw it with Shadow and Tingana, where Karula actually physically chased Shadow away. We've also seen them lying next to each other, growling at each other. Now, those two are related, mother and daughter, so the chances of physical confrontation are relatively slim. But two related males would fight because they're trying to defend their territorial mating rights. Leopards are weird, though. Leopards do odd things every now and again, so that would be my answer in sort of a general situation. But there are rare weird exceptions to those rules. Sometimes you get a whole group of leopards sharing a kill together, relatives joining together. I certainly think that they know each other, so it's not that they don't recognize each other. Each leopard knows each individual in its surrounding area. They often do unexpected things, though. Very good question from Tyler, and something that actually we've started taking for granted in terms of the knowledge of our different leopards. But Tyler wants to know, is there a way to tell the difference between a male and a female leopard? Is there a way, are there certain characteristics? So within a big male and an adult fully grown male and an adult fully grown female, there's a massive size difference between the two. There's a big sexual dimorphism, with the males being nearly twice the weight of the females. And in an adult fully grown male, like Tingana, for example, or Mvula, they develop that dewlap, very, very thick neck, and a flap of skin underneath their throats. That being said, you do get big leopards, or big female leopards, and it could be tricky to tell the difference between a male and a female, young male, and a female leopard. Just remember that there's the massive size difference. Then, the only other way to decide what you are looking at is to have a look underneath the tail. So in a sexually mature male, of even Sindile's age or Quarantine and Nkuhuma, the testicles are quite easily visible beneath the tail. Those are the only real differences. I've noticed there's a difference in head shape between the males and the females, certainly of this area, but that's a difficult and quite a subtle thing, and I think it's just that the males' faces are slightly longer. But that's a very subtle nuance, and you can't use that as a characteristic across the board. Oh, somebody's not interested. There, we've got a sort of a view underneath the tail. If you have a look, in a male, his testicles would be clearly prominent underneath the tail there. You can't see it. Obviously, they don't have them as a female. Whether or not that needed to be said, I'm uncertain. Probably didn't. You exhausted, Xiluva? It's been a long, hard day. Okay, well, our cat snoozes away contentedly in the warm afternoon air. I think we're going to sit here for a little bit longer and then move off, depending on what she does. Let's head across to Taylor and find out what her plans are.
I'm sure you know what this means if you're seeing all these vultures sitting here. We are just about at the lion sighting. Isn't that amazing? They're all watching in anticipation, but let's quickly go forward. I can see the lions moving around. Let's see what they're up to. They're not far ahead. They're just up in front of us. Can't wait to tell you what happened this morning. It was so exciting. Right, lions. Round 2. There we go. You can see them all up and moving. Some of them are. I'm going to try and get the best position. A male's off. He's in hot pursuit of a female. Let's see what's going on now. I want to try and work out where the carcass is, or they've almost eaten all of it. Oh, there's 2 males here. Oh, let's have a look here. Oh, look, watch. There's 2 males. Sorry, I parked on a bit of a... Listen, turn your volume up. Now, we've got Tinyo here, which is the male that we're looking at, and of course Mfumo at the back. They're both growling at each other. There's obviously some serious tension here at the moment, as this lioness must be coming into estrus, and they both obviously want to mate with her. Now, this morning we had the most incredible lion sighting, as I'm sure you watched the highlights. But I was lucky enough to just get into the sighting just at the right time. And they took down a buffalo calf right here. It was very exciting. And it seems as though we were missing one lioness. And of course, Mr. Tinyo, who seems to be back now. And I'm sure they've joined in on the feast, on feasting on the carcass. Hopefully we'll be able to get a better view in a little bit of the carcass, but I can just see a glimpse of it. It's probably going to be difficult for you. It seems as though they've eaten most of it already. But I don't know if you can hear all the commotion that's going on. There's quite a bit of growling. You can see how tense Tino is, how he's swishing his tail around and always looking over his shoulder. It seems like they've both got lionesses at their side. Looks like Amber Eyes sitting closest to us, and I suspect that it's the other youngest lioness with Mfumo in the back. Hello, Amber Eyes. You missed out on the action this morning. But wouldn't it be exciting if we do get to see Madam Amber Eyes mate with this male? I have to tell you as well, there was a big buffalo bull not too far from here as we were coming around. He's probably about 60 meters away, and he's on his own. Now I'm hoping that he does come in this direction. Hello everyone, just saying hello. Let's see, he's obviously very keen on mating with her. You can see he's standing up, coming over, trying to coax her. I'm going to reposition now. I want to try and navigate a little bit closer so that if we do get into a bit of a disagreement between the two males, we'll have a chance to see them. But look, the others have just arrived as well. Look at the cubs. Everyone's sitting here. It's so nice. We finally got the gang together. Now I know I've parked at a very awkward angle. I must apologize, but we are going to move in just a moment. A big yawn. You see the nice big full bellies. A lovely little greet over there. Let me go forward a little bit. Just reposition just slightly. And just I want to show you the little carcass that they've been munching on. Oh, they actually haven't eaten too much. Hello, guys. Hi, little cubs. You see the carcass in there? You can see it just laying. It wasn't a big buffalo. I suspect they will finish it tonight, though. And now they're going to be very careful not to move too far away from the carcass, because we've seen all those vultures who are eagerly watching, waiting for one of the lions or the pride to move away. You can see they're going to come up now. Some of the other cubs are starting to wake up. Going to have a little play. That's nice, using the luxury facilities right there. They never seem to move too far, the lions. They just sort of go where they sleep and sleep where they go. Everybody's waking up. What luck I've been having the last few days. It's actually ridiculous. I can't believe it. The Nkuhumas have always been very, very kind to me. Look at these two rolling on their backs. Yeah, it's quite funny. Look at you two. These look like the two oldest cubs. They're growing up very, very fast. Nice full bellies on a lovely cool day. It hasn't been too hot. Lion's paradise. Oh, big yawn from the little one in the back. Having a little rub on some grass. Careful, that's might have a few prickles on it. Now this little cub is one of my favorites. And I know it's the one that has got a little bit of mange, which we have spotted, and it's coming through. But this little one is so sweet, and was the one this morning that was the first one to tuck into that buffalo. Even while there was a bit of commotion between the male not letting the females want to come and eat, this little one didn't care and decided to tuck straight in. Everyone's waking up now. And of course, always going back to mom or any one of the females just to look for a little bit of attention. Very itchy. Lucian, Good afternoon. You've asked a wonderful question. We're wondering if there are any other terms, sort of other than mother, brother, aunt, sister, than what we as guides always use to describe the relationships between the whole pride that we've got here. I'm just trying to think. We normally just refer to them as aunt and uncle. I haven't really heard of anybody else using anything else. Perhaps if you've maybe heard of somebody else saying something, you could let me know. But since when I started guiding, we always refer to them as the mothers and the aunts and the siblings and so on and so on. So not that I've heard of anything, so I'm just always keeping a look just to make sure that I know exactly where everyone is. No one is sneaking up behind us. Oh, that's a very nice shot you've got there. That's what happens when you eat so much meat. Unfortunately, your stomach works overtime. And I feel like this should be Jamie sitting here, because every time the animals go to the restroom, the luxury bathrooms, they always seem to hide behind trees. I don't mind them starting that trend with me. It's okay. Oh, hopefully, sorry, I need to just duck out of the way over there. Hopefully we'll get to see them up and eating. Like I said, they've eaten a fair amount of it, but there's still some left. And I'm surprised that it's actually not the cubs that are tucking in there, because every time we've seen them eating a carcass of which animal they've managed to kill, we always see those little cubs munching away for the entire day until their bellies are so full they're almost bursting at the seams. Right, I think we need to count the cubs. Roger has brought it to my attention. Let's see if all 8 are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can see 6 so far. And I think the other 2 are laying just in the distance. Here we go. I think there's 2 more cubs. There's definitely 1 more. And I suspect the other one is there, perhaps having a little suckle. So I'm almost certain. All the lionesses are accounted for, which is nice. All 5 of them. And then aren't we lucky we've got 2 of the Birminghams, which we haven't seen for a long time. The Birminghams seem to split up on a regular basis. But Tinyo and Mfumo seem to be the 2 boys that we see quite often. And I'm missing Nena. Oh, here they come. Here comes a pair. This is Tinyo and Amber Eyes. Yes, just right next to the vehicle. Monique, afternoon to you. Now you want to know, or you were saying you thought that Amber Eyes was perhaps in estrus. You're wondering if she's in estrus, sorry, and whether you thought that she was perhaps pregnant. Now, I'm not sure. I haven't really been seeing Amber Eyes too often, and I have been away for some time now. So I didn't see her looking very pregnant at all before I left. And it's quite interesting, the whole scenario surrounding Amber Eyes and never having cubs before. So we will see what happens. I think she's in estrus. Maybe she's in false estrus. I'm not sure. I don't think she's taken just yet. We haven't really been seeing her mating too much. This is the first time for me, of course, so I could be mistaken. But we'll see. We'll spend a bit of time with them and perhaps see if this male manages to entice her to mating with them. But there's time to take a little nap, though. I think it's the perfect opportunity, though, to head over back to Jamie and see how her leopard sighting is going.
Oh, for now I have left Xiluva. She moved into an even more tricky, thick patch that we really couldn't see much of her at all. So I've left her for now. I might go through a little bit later as it starts to get dark. Perhaps she'll be up and about and feeding then. I'm just enjoying the beautiful afternoon sky. We did have a little bit of rain this morning, which is always an absolute pleasure to have a chance to experience, especially given how dry it has been. Not enough really to top up the water holes and the dams, but anything we are very, very grateful for. So, a really stunning afternoon. See, that's the back of the cold front. I think that's the end of it. I'm probably going to get hot from here on out, but I don't know. Every time I say something's going to happen with the weather, the opposite happens, so I'm going to try and stop predicting. The cameramen seem to be far better at it than we are as guides. The cameramen seem to have got it down. But for now, I'm going to start heading in the direction of that buffalo carcass. I'm trying to work out while we drive along, since I've come from north of Djuma, from Sydney's dam, I'm trying to work out where the hyenas have all gone, because I haven't seen any tracks going back to where their den site is meant to be on Manyeleti, which is interesting. It makes me wonder if perhaps it was a different clan of hyenas that came to feed off that buffalo carcass that I found this morning. It's just a mystery to be solved. Doesn't look as though, it's difficult to tell because it has rained, as I said, so tracking is a little bit more tricky for us. But it doesn't look as though any of them have walked along this. This is their usual path into Djuma. Come along Sandy Patch Road and then down Impala Road. And I don't see any sign of any tracks. And they might actually just be lying up somewhere. They might not have gone all the way back to Manyeleti. They might be lying up somewhere in one of the mud wallows. I'm going to check all the way down along the western fringes of Djuma to see whether or not we encounter any of them there. Amazing how far you can see in the bush at the moment. I'll just point that out. Come on, Rusty, into reverse you go. I can see elephants far in the distance. Look at that. A whole herd of them walking along through Simbambili. That's Simbambili over there, property outside of our traverse area. And some impala as well. In the height of summer, a view like this would be absolutely impossible. There's no way we could ever see them at this distance. But since the trees haven't fully got their leaves back, we're still able to see much further into the bush than we might otherwise. A procession of elephants, probably making their way towards, I would have thought, towards Simbambili Dam. Maybe One-Eyed Pan, that might be a little bit closer in that general direction. Just a guess, though, and unfortunately, since it is outside of our traverse area, we can't head across there. Seems to be an elephant-filled afternoon. Isn't it astounding how many elephants are around? There's so many herds and lots of little babies. Little babies still wobbly on their legs. I saw one this morning that was probably about the same age as the one that we saw in Fang's herd and that Taylor's just seen in Fang's herd. I see you, hidden behind the trees. Hello, beautiful. Oh, there's nothing like a magnificent kudu bull. He is not comfortable. He's not going to stay if I go any further forward. We just have to stop here and hope he sticks around. Taylor touched on it this afternoon, the fact that it was windy earlier, and that's making all of the animals a little bit nervous. And I've found in general, kudu males or kudu bulls tend to be a little bit more nervous than their female counterparts. I don't know what it is. They're just always slightly more skittish and nervous around the vehicle. Now, this is a magnificent kudu bull with those massive spiraling horns, but he's gone to tuck himself behind a tree. And it works. Look at that. Looking with human eyes, not through the eyes of the cameras. Wyatt, you want to know whether or not the presence of the vehicles obstructs or interferes with the animal's behavior. It would be dishonest to say that there's no impact at all. We can see that kudu move from one side of the bush to the other side of the bush. Our cats, it has hardly any impact on them at all. They are so comfortable and used to the vehicles, and that's just because people have spent a great deal more time with them than they have with each individual antelope. There's just more antelope, so they just tend to be a little bit more skittish. We're very, very careful in the way that we approach things and the way that we do things. If the lions are hunting, if a cat is hunting, sitting with your engine switched off, even if you don't have a view of them at all, not repositioning until you can see that it's okay to do so. So we are exceptionally cautious in the way that we impact the animals. Things like elephants actually will physically interact, just because they're quite intelligent. Hyenas do it as well. They'll actually physically come and interact with the vehicle. Often young elephant calves will come and say hello. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as the rest of the herd is relaxed. I think it's quite nice, the fact that they feel comfortable enough with us to come up and sort of shake their heads at us, or even watch them reach out with their trunks. And hyena cubs do that as well. They come up whenever we sit at the den site. They come up and have a look. Oh, sun's out. It's so nice. They'll come up and have a look and sniff the tires. They often chew the tires, or try to. I don't let them. But that's behavior that they just grow out of after a while. So in a way, we're almost as much a part of these animals' landscapes. They've grown up. Bear in mind, they've grown up with us moving about. All of the animals that you see here will have been born with safari vehicles, not been born with safari vehicles watching them, but had safari vehicles watching them from birth. I'm trying to get another view of this kudu because he's magnificent, but he's not really, not all that interested. Or we'll have a look at that magpie shrike instead. It's sitting up on the top of the dead tree. So whilst it would be disingenuous to say that we don't have any impact at all, our impact is minimal. And bear in mind that the more that tourist vehicles and people watching the animals, they pay money to come and stay in these areas. And that money, in turn, is used to protect the animals and to secure their future. It makes keeping this land a conservation area more valuable than, for example, turning it into farmland. You cannot underestimate the importance and the value of tourism out here, whether it's to watch beautiful birds like this magpie shrike, or for the people who come just to see the big cats. It's incredibly important in a country like South Africa with a massive socio-economic divide. Now, the lodge industry, the tourism industry, is one of South Africa's most important and one of its highest grossing sources of income. So whilst it's, as I said, we do have an impact to an extent, but it is minimal and it is done as carefully as possible. We try and make sure that we don't in any way harm or impact the animals or change a situation. Even if it is a hunt where an animal is suffering, we've got to just let nature take its course and play out the way it should. That was a long-tailed or a magpie shrike for our new viewers, and that was a really lovely view of it. Sorry, I got distracted by the conversation that we were having until the magpie shrike flew away. But for our new viewers, we always encourage you to keep a bird list of the different bird species. There's lots still. Even for our regular viewers, there's one or two rare ones that we still have to get on camera. I'm going to try and get on camera. And for our newer viewers, all of the migratory species have returned. We're just waiting for the woodlands kingfisher now. Brent said what did he say? Oh, hold on, actually. What's the date today? Does anyone have any idea? The 21st. Okay, I think Brent said the woodlands kingfisher was going to be back on the 28th. Oh, Brent said the 31st, and I said the 2nd of November, and Brian, I think, said the 3rd. What did you say, Viam? No, you said the 3rd.
I don't think I guessed that.
You didn't guess?
I don't know, did I?
I don't think so. No, I think I had Brian on camera with me that morning. Now, go on, Viam. When are the woodlands? The 25th. Viam's going in the next 4 days. Drum roll. The woodlands kingfishers will return to Djuma. What has Taylor said, by the way? Here's another question. The thing is, woodlands kingfishers always return sort of around, with a week's leeway on either side, around a very, very similar date. So we're sort of running out of days, depending on the number of people that we ask. I think the 2nd of November. I'm going to be devastated if they return back on the 1st. In between Brent and myself's guess. And while I contemplate that devastating prospect, I'm not that devastated, I promise. Let's go back to Taylor so she can cheer you up with some lion cubs.
We are back with the lions again, but they seem to have gone a little bit more horizontal than I would have liked. They gave us some great signs earlier of waking up and yawns and grooming. But now you can see they've gone and had a little bit of an afternoon fiesta. Hopefully they'll wake up again and start feeding on that wonderful carcass. See the vultures flying around in the background. They're all starting to come in and land on the ground. There's one flying in. They're slowly itching their way forward. They're very naughty hooded vultures. But I don't think that they will be able to creep their way through all these lions that are scattered out almost like landmines. It'll be a very dangerous walk for these vultures. Here we go, you can see them contemplating their next move. And a little starling that's joined them too. Oh, what happened there, Vulture? You got a bit of a fright. Oh, I just have to say thank you very much to James Richard. James has fed through a lovely comment and hoped and said that he is so happy to be back on dry, and he hoped that the rehearsals went well. They did go well. And you're also wondering if we've got any updates. Now, we do indeed have an incredible update, and we're going to show you a short clip very quickly, but I want to tell you a little bit about what happened. So we obviously arrived in the lion sighting, and as I got towards the sighting, I noticed to my left that the cubs were just standing by with eyes wide open. And of course I saw a cloud of dust from the buffalo, and the lions were in hot pursuit. I had no idea what they were chasing. They were just running after something. I'm not going to say too much more. I want you to see for yourself. Just come across, the lions have managed to catch a buffalo that they chased going through the thicket. Now it's a young calf. Come on, lions, you can take this down. Isn't this amazing? Come on, it's a little calf. The rest of the herd of buffalo have raced away. Unfortunately, I think this is the end. Look at this. I think unfortunately that this is indeed the end for this buffalo calf. You can see the male now going in, grabbing it by the throat. It needs to keep the calf quiet, otherwise the herd of buffalo are going to come back and try and chase these lions off. Well done, lions. Well done. Oh, you can see he's not letting anybody go to that carcass, which is going to be a bit of a problem because the females may gang up on him in order to get a good feed. The buffalo actually tried to get up again. I can't believe it, that it managed to gain that strength, perhaps with all the adrenaline that's also rushing through its body. And then, of course, everybody came through again, and the males grabbed straight hold of the throat to try and close that jugular. Now, the lions haven't seemed to be doing too much more damage to this buffalo just yet, but we've got another lioness who's joined in and is starting to feed from the rump. Wasn't that incredible? That clip was amazing. It really doesn't do it justice though. And my favorite part, of course, about that entire sighting was seeing the amazing moves of that lioness when they go in for the second time to grab it, and how she grabs it and body slams it to the ground. That was just so impressive. We can imagine all of us when we were watching the highlights again trying to not eat a fly, sorry, and how we were all having the time of our lives, having a good chuckle, and of course everybody was commenting on how it sort of looked like we were watching WWE for a moment. It was absolutely beautiful. Oh, little one's got a stir. I must apologize. I'm swatting lots of flies away here because I know that they've been sitting on that horrible rotting carcass, and now they want to now enter my nasal cavity, which I do not want. Come on, little ones, please get up for us and go and have a nibble on that lovely fly-infested carcass. It looks so appetizing. Buffalo carpaccio. Anyone for a slice? David?
No, thank you.
You don't want a piece?
Nope.
It's lovely and cured in the sun. It would be so tender. No, I'm joking. I think I would be violently ill if either of us decided to go over and have a little munch on that carcass. But they don't seem to be too hungry at the moment, and I don't blame them. Well, that little cub is hungry. It's now tucking into mom's milk, which obviously there's nothing better than that, not even a buffalo. This is so lovely. This one having a good groom, spending quite a bit of its day, not having to rely on mom anymore to wash behind its ears, just making sure that it's nice and clean after having some steak for breakfast. Now, we haven't seen or heard any more action yet of Mr. Mfumo and the youngest lioness of the Nkuhuma pride. Now, it's going to be very difficult for you to see. I'm just looking into the distance. Okay, we're going to get some action now. Everybody get ready, because the youngest lioness has just got up and she's going to start walking towards us. And so David, she's straight ahead of us, so you can just see through. It's difficult because of the sun as well. They're just through there, a little bit in the right behind those cluster leaves. Where are they gone? Have they got up already? No, they're still there. It's just very, very thick. I think you need to go a little bit lower down. What is it? We're just trying to find them. It is so thick, it's like a wall of trees. I can just see a little bit of movement. There you can see the male's mane in the top left corner of your screen. Now the lioness has stood up. And hopefully she's going to come straight towards basically the same route as the other lioness walked, as Amber Eyes walked, and this male. You can see him getting up now. And you can see her leading just in front. Now come around here. I'm hoping we're going to get a bit of a disagreement. So young lioness, come on close. Obviously the disagreement is not going to be between the lionesses. It's going to be between the two big Birminghams. You can see he's showing quite a bit of affection towards her. Come on, girl. No, going to have a little rest over there. That's all right. And back down. And you can see Mr. Tinyo over here has popped his head up. Obviously, as he heard the commotion. And he was looking over towards her, but now that Mr. Mfumo has gone flat, he knows he doesn't have to have anything to worry about just yet. And if you have perhaps just started watching, Tinyo means tooth, and that's from the scar on this male's left. Now, with having these Birminghams around, you can imagine it's obviously a lot safer for the pride. And I know Rob was wondering exactly that. He was wondering if the Birminghams being around will have added protection towards the cubs. Rob, for the entire pride, in fact, especially when there's a kill close by. Oh, my camera on my lap, I can't fit. And that's because the hyenas wouldn't dare risk coming in to try and take a nip at that carcass if the big boys are around. Perhaps if it was just the lionesses, they may take a chance and come through and do a little bit of harassing. We know nothing will sort of mess, not too many other carnivores will mess with a big lion, a big male lion. And you can see they're really, really growing into themselves quite nicely. Even since I've been here, I've definitely seen a change. Their manes are starting to darken now. And of course, they really just have grown into themselves, and it's going to be very exciting to see what they look like at the beginning of the year. Hopefully they'll get nice dark manes too. It would be lovely. They've gone completely horizontal except one little cub who's really doing a good job at hygiene. Now all we need is we just need one lion to get up and go towards that carcass, and I think that will start a chain reaction and they will all move into that area. Hello, little one. Are you done cleaning yourself now? You look lovely and clean. You've had a lovely bath. I suspected, though, that this was what we were going to come across. So I'm so happy that we got to see the action as we arrived, to see them moving around slightly and the little ones playing for a moment. But we will be patient and we will put up with having to watch the lions sleep, because you all know that patience is the key when it comes to safaris. And if you leave, you could miss a whole lot of amazing things. You can see that male doesn't look like he's eaten too much. He's got a bit of a belly, but not as full as what I thought, but perhaps he is preoccupied. David, was that you?
Sorry.
I don't think it was David, I'm just joking. I think this male lion passed a bit of wind, and we are sitting downwind of him as he did that big roll over. And I got a brief smell, so I thought I would try and call and say it was David. Look at all those ticks on the back of his legs. Oh, it doesn't seem like he's been paying attention too much to personal hygiene. I think he's preoccupied with amber eyes at the moment, but they do occasionally get a few ticks at the back of their legs, and I always notice that the males tend to have them there, whereas the females, I think, pay a little bit more attention when it comes to grooming themselves. Right, let's jump on the back of Jamie's vehicle and see if her afternoon is going as well as mine.
Your timing is impeccable, as always, or at least Rebecca's is, because we're just about to get through to where we found that buffalo carcass this morning. I'm just going quite slowly, because there's there was very fresh elephant dung in the road, and a couple of large tracks heading. They've gone off the road now, they've gone off into the block on my left. I'm just double checking to see where they might have popped out.
Now.